Hello, welcome back from the weekend. This is your Daily Detroit. It's Monday, January 24th, 2022. The snow is falling, and so is information all on us about what's happening with Detroit City FC signings. To help sort us out, Fletcher Sharpe, good to talk to you, man.
Yeah, thanks for allowing me to be here again.
Let's get started. There are 4 big signings since the last time that we caught up. Amoo-Mensah, let's just jump right into it. What's he going to bring?
Amoo-Mensah, formerly of the Michigan Stars, is a stout quality defender, really good on the ball from the back, rushes in to make a few rash challenges. I don't know if that's his personality or just the fact he's playing with the Stars and had to come a bit extra. When they did the little announcement where DCFC on their Twitter page has been doing, a few hints to let people know who it was, I saw the little exploding emoji they used, which people have been using to mock the Stars with, because the Stars used it once, and I'm not really sure even why they used it, especially when there are actual star emojis. I thought it was either going to be Amoo-Mensah or Tenda, the goalkeeper. Those are the only 2 players in that roster I would want on my team if I was taking players off their team. Amoo-Mensah is a quality defender. I think he'll add a bit of versatility in the back. Someone who can play the ball out of the back. So if they pass the ball to a defender, typically defenders are people who get the ball and just kick it up the field because get it away. I think he can bring bringing the ball up the field to more of a modern type of player where the ball comes to him and he can get it to someone short, maybe move up a bit more, maybe even take a shot or 2 outside the box if need be. But he's quick enough to get back and provide cover so that we can kill the fast break.
Fan favorite, the Steinwall, Nate Steinwascher, is returning. It's going to be a different league. I'm looking forward to seeing how he plays against this level of challenge.
Honestly, when they were moving from in the MPSL to NISA, I did not know if Nate would be coming back because he is a family man. He has a bunch of stuff going on in his life. He also has a pretty demanding day job. So when I saw that he was moving from the MPSL to NISA, I figured they would keep him as long as they can and ride the wheels till they fall off. So to see him re-signed is not shocking to me. On the field side, he had a stellar year last year, voted keeper of the year, first team all league, etc. So you kind of got to take that guy with you. When he faces a shot, which is kind of few and far in between, he makes the save more often than not. Partnered up with Stephen Carroll and a new person that we'll be mentioning soon, I see that this is a pretty good pickup.
Brad Dunwell, tell me more about him.
Brad Dunwell is a Michigan Bucks / Flint City Bucks legend. He played for them while he was at Wake Forest, and he had 3 stellar years, including 1 year where they won the PDL, which is now the USL League 2 championship in 2018, before being drafted and playing the MLS for a little bit, and then playing the USL championship last year. He is a quality defensive midfielder. He's more of a metronome, which will allow Maxi Rodriguez, who had been playing that position last year, to move up a bit. With a midfield triangle of Maxi Rodriguez, Lay Diop, and now Brad Dunwell. Brad Dunwell will kind of be more of the guy who focuses on getting the ball from the back to the front, kind of a bit of a stopgap type of way. Lay Diop will be more of the defender / midfielder who can get in there and make a tackle, maybe make a few passes, with Maxi kind of getting more of a chance to focus offensively on his talents, which he had 7 goals last year, albeit all penalty kicks. It'll allow him to get more up there and kind of help facilitate. But Brad's a very solid player. To see him called is very, very nice to have a player like that, especially when he has Michigan roots and he wants to come back and play at a professional level.
And Detroit City FC loves their callbacks. One of them, Matt Lewis. He's back with the club.
As I mentioned before, there's a player we've been mentioning for a pickup. This is Matt Lewis. Very solid player, 25 years old. He has some USL Championship experience as he went out on loan to the El Paso Locomotives when they were facing an injury crisis at center back. He did not play during that week that he was away, but he trained with them and showed that he has skill to play at that level. Very level-headed defender. A bit quicker than Stephen Carroll, not by much, but enough to where it can offset Stephen Carroll's not quick foot speed, albeit his very heady play. To have the triangle triumvirate of Stephen Carroll, Matt Lewis, and Nate Steinwascher, no matter who the third defender is, whether it's Amoo-Mensah or even hopefully Javon Torre if they re-sign him, they should be set back there in the middle. Now we wait to see who the other wing defender is, but so far they've built a pretty solid back.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that one more spot on the 11. Really, what are you going to be looking for?
A left wing defender, kind of similar to the right situation. I know in the past they've had Jimmy Filerman or Tendai Jadira or other players play there, kind of someone who helps get up there and helps to start the attack from the left wing. Someone who can kind of is a defender but can play more of a midfield role. someone who can get up there and maybe help, but also get back quick enough to release some of the pressure that's put on the defense. I'd also be looking for more attacking firepower. DCFC got by in Nisa by just being better flat out than other teams, so it didn't really bother people statistically that most of their goal scorers were not their forwards, which is a problem if I'm a fan. It should not be your leading goal scorer, should not be your midfielder who has 7 penalty kicks. It should not then be your left wing back who has 4 goals. It should not then be your center back who has 2 goals. Your forward should be leading you in scoring goals, or at least be in the top 3 or 4. So that would be a worrisome thing to me. Is I would like to have a bit more firepower, maybe off the bench, maybe to push Pato or Connor up top to maybe take a starting spot or not. We'll see. We don't exactly know, but I would like to see another forward or 2 signed, maybe another attacking presence in the midfield to alleviate some of the pressure that be put on people that are already there.
That leads me to a criticism I've seen a lot, is that this club is kind of being built with a lot of Nisa players, a lot of good Nisa players. We've seen them, I've been with you in the stands, seeing a lot of these players over the years, but it's not a bunch of USL signings. Now, is that in part a factor of that they're frankly the expansion club or an expansion club?
I think it's a bit different than other situations in the soccer world, at least. Like when Oakland Roots went from Nisa to the USL Championship, they had to junk most of their roster because the Oakland Roots were not a good team. They got to the Nisa Championship that year because they were in a weak division. They were able to just beat the few teams they had in front of them. The difference with DCFC is they're head and shoulders above better than everybody else. And the players they are signing were head and shoulders above better than everyone else in their roster for the most part. So getting players like Reese Williams or Devin Amoo-Mensah or maybe whoever else they signed from Nisa teams is a bit different because they have players who've shown to be all league players. All the players they've brought back so far have been all league in one capacity, either one year or another, or even both. So it's not like they're just bringing back, not like they were a bottom of the table team bringing back scrubs. They're bringing back players who contributed, who were good players, who were able to contribute mightily enough and show that they had some talent. And also some of the players they're bringing back might have been Nisa players, but like they have USL championship experience. So it's not like they're bringing back players who don't know exactly what they're doing. Some of them don't. Stephen Carroll does not, but Stephen Carroll also played in Ireland growing up. So he's more than well enough in that regard. But like I said, Matty Lewis has some USL championship experience. Lay Diop has some. Brad Dunwell, who's new to the team but not new to the state, has some. So they have players who've played at that level before. Pato has some. Maxi Rodriguez has some. So while they don't initially come from there originally, they came from DCFC from their most recent year. They've played at that level before. They know what the expectation is. Also, their manager, Trevor James, again, coached for Indy 11 and brought them into more relevant terms. So yeah, they have people who know what they're doing. Well, they might not have the immediate USL championship type of player, maybe even the fallen MLS player who happens to stumble and needs somewhere to play. They have people who know what to expect in terms of intensity. Hopefully they can add a few more people to do that. But as of right now, I think it's a good building block to start on.
And what I'm excited about is building a foundation. I'm actually okay if this is a foundation year, because I think that's going to be the key. Like, I want them to do well as a franchise. And I think sometimes that means you've got to build a base and you're not going for the biggest flash right off the bat.
Yeah. And I think the problem is DCFC has never had a losing season. Well, they've had seasons that are not great in their regard. They've had seasons that are down years where like they ended up having as many wins as they had ties, but still more than losses in that regard. They weren't like, we were not in the playoffs. We're not doing this. We're whatever. They've never had a losing season. So I think for some DCFC fans, it'll be hard to see them go out there and maybe get rocked a few games. Like they might, when they play Tampa Bay, I expect them to lose to Tampa Bay just off the bat, unless, they play them and DCFC's hot and Tampa Bay's kind of faltering. If I just did to go off the right now, just based off whoever they sign, just the facts. Tampa Bay is an established team in the USL Championship East. They just got to the championship last year. They were there the year before. They're a very solid team. Play against Louisville City at Louisville. Louisville might have a better team at home. Away, I can't really speak to it, but at home, Louisville might beat them.
That's why I said I'm excited about a foundation of a team, and I think that's really what we need to be prepared for. I mean, maybe I could be wrong. I'm fully like, I would like to have my expectations exceeded, right? I totally would. I'm trying to be more focused and reasoned about it. Does that make sense?
Definitely, it does make sense. And like I would hope that some fans would temper expectations and realize like everywhere you've gone, you've been the big fish in the small pond. The pond has vastly expanded and you're no longer the bigger fish. So yeah, a foundation would be great. I think they're building some really great things with the defense and with the midfield. They have some solid players who have some experience. Like I said, getting a left wing back will really help because they'll have a full 11 to start. They just got to work on building their bench or building players who might slot into the starting lineup. And I think honestly, again, prepping just to have some really hostile environments. Everywhere they've played, every league they've played in, their fans have been the best and biggest amount of fans that they've had.
Let's be honest, they've been the biggest group of fans sometimes than their opposing teams. Let's just be real honest there.
That's what I mean. They've had their fan base has sometimes been bigger than all the fan bases in their leagues combined. In NISA, they had the Chattahooligans for Chattanooga, and like they were nice to each other at times, but like on the field, they were pretty contentious. But outside of that, most of the teams didn't have fan bases. You're moving into a league that has a bunch of other fan bases that are just as big about yours. And I can't say they're as passionate, but they're very passionate as well. So like you're going to have moments where you think like we're here to do stuff. And then you might get clowned a few times on the field. You might have to just accept the fact that you're getting clowned. And also the supporting section that showed up and traveled is also going to be laughing at you. Like the Keyworth had their stadium where it's like we have a little section for traveling fans to like fill up, which rarely ever got filled up unless Chattanooga came. Typically, it's like 8 or 9 fans show up for the opposing team. I expect this season to have way more fans show up in the supporting visiting section, just because these people take it a bit more seriously than other teams have. In the USL Championship, some of these other teams have the money to have their fans travel. The fans have the will and the time and the care to move around the country as they see fit. I expect to see a bit more yelling back when people are talking about the scoreboard at home games.
I'll be honest, I'm kind of here for it because a good rivalry is when you've got some parity.
Definitely.
You know, like a rivalry isn't fun if you're always winning every time. I want some parity. I want some drama. I want some tension. That's part of the fun of this whole thing, at least to me.
Definitely. That's the reason why when people out of the state would like frustrate me, they're like, it's a rivalry between the Stars and DCFC. I'm like, in my opinion, a rivalry is when both teams have like won consistently.
Oh no, that's not a rivalry. That's just a pounding.
So like, that's not a rivalry in my opinion. Some of those games haven't even been close. Some of those games have been like shellackings. So yeah, it's not a rivalry to me until like you've won a game, I've won a game. You won a game, I won a game. Even if you won 4 games, I've only won 1 game, but they're close. Rivalry. I think Louisville and Detroit could be a rivalry. But I think this has the grounds, like you said, for the groundwork for the league and for the team to be here. I think it's a ground to be a really great transition, a really great growth. I don't know if they're going to take the league by storm. I think either they're going to play way above everyone's expectations or they're going to play way below them. I don't really see them middling out as much just because that's just how DCFC is. Either they're going to go there, they're going to be barnstorming, they're going to be playing lights out all the time or playing lights out most of the time and, getting wins over losses or wins over ties, or they're going to be taking those ties and turning them into losses, unfortunately.
Like from a fan perspective, let's set aside like the super supporter side. For the more casual sports fan, this is going to be a much better product.
The game's going to be faster. It's going to be a faster game because you will not be in control as much anymore. DCFC was able to, as I've said in other episodes, DCFC was able to control the pace because they were like the better team by far. If they wanted to play the game slow, we'll take the air out of the ball, play the game slow. We want to play the game fast, we'll play the game fast. But typically the team they're playing against could not take the ball away from them. The second best team in their league, LA Force, typically played way behind DCFC because they could not just take the ball and say, we're going to play with our own will. We're going to go there, we're going to play, put 10 people on defense and just say, we're going to hope that we get the ball and counterattack when we can. The championship, some teams are still going to play like that because they're not very good. But some teams are going to be like, you know what? We're the DCFC in the situation. We're going to control the pace. You do what we say. We want to run as fast as we can. You got to just deal with it. So yeah, there'll be times where the ball is just pinging around back and forth because that's what has to happen. They're not in control of possession of the game, and that's got to go with it. Even with the improved midfield they have so far, like there might be games where they're just like, you know what, we got to hold on. Like we're going to go out there and put 10 behind the ball and hope that we can just hold on against this team that has a better offensive onslaught than we do. And the lucky part is there are way more games this season than there have been for NISA. So if you get beat 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 games, it might not derail your season.
So I disagree with you. I think that we're going to have 2 parts of the season. I think I don't have high expectations for the first part of the season, and I think a much stronger finish as everybody gets their bearings, and that's part of why I think it'll be more in the middle of the pack kind of situation. I mean, we can, of course, agree to disagree, but I think that's kind of how it's going to play out because you've got so many people that are going to need to shake off a little bit.
I mean, I understand that. I understand how that side, and I'm not saying that's not going to happen. What I'm saying is it's either it's going to be them shaking that off for a majority of the season, not just half it, but for like a while in the season, or they're going to have one down game or two down games and then just take the league like a duck to water. I don't think it's going to be two parts. I think it's going to be more of like 2/3 of one and then 1/3 of another, not 50-50. I think either they're going to have a pretty good season where they make the playoffs, 6, 7, 8 seed, maybe lucky 4 seed, or they're going to, if this was the top level, they'd be in prime draft position. Part
of the fun is that we don't know. And also part of the fun is that we're going to be doing this at Keyworth every home game. So, I'm looking forward to it, Fletcher.
From an impartial standpoint, if you like higher level soccer, I would definitely get to Keyworth. If you are a fan of DCFC, I would definitely get to Keyworth. If you do not like DCFC, I would tune in to watch them play, because if they lose, then you can have your glee from home, and if they win, then no one can see you crying through your computer screen.
Listen, do not discount the power of the 12th man. And that is it for today's show. Thank you for so much information on Le Rouge. I am just even more excited about the 2022 season.
It should be great. It should be a very fun time, and I think whether you are a fan or not a fan or just impartial, you should be finding some enjoyment from it.
Well, with that, thank you so much for listening to your Daily Detroit. Remember, rate us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify 5 stars. It'd be great to have you. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Fletcher Sharpe.
Take care of each other, and we'll see you around Detroit.